Most children will travel through schools at some point. So if we could catch some of these bends early, before it becomes a big problem. Usually, if somebody's got a mental health problem later on, there were signs. And if you can spot them early enough and do something about it before it becomes a big problem, then you might be able to stop it. It's that serious. So the question was, what could be done about it? And that's where the Tahms project came in. And that's targeted mental health in schools. What the person might need is just somebody to talk to, and somebody that they can offload onto and not feel isolated and alone. And that actually in itself might be enough to stop the problem. And a problem story is what's called a thin description of somebody's life. It's not particularly useful. And usually in any problem story, whatever it might be, say if it's anger or whatever, there are other stories around, say when the person's not angry, that are not being noticed.
Like everyone saying things, I don't know what they're saying. Like anyone said anything to me, I said no, yeah, but I don't understand anything of these. But with Mrs. helped me a lot, Mrs. Johnson and Jones and Mrs. Kate as well. They helped me so much in my English, to improve my own English so much. And then they helped me always in my lessons. That's how they help me and help all the children.
This is Middlesbrough Displacement Centre for asylum seekers, refugees. So a lot of the asylum seekers are housed here. Sometimes when they get the refugee status they might choose to stay here because they're settled, the children are enjoying school, but quite often when they get the refugee status they might move to other towns where they've got family, Bradford, London, the bigger communities. So sometimes we can work with a child for quite a long time, and then over the summer holidays or holidays they disappear.
And the thing is, there are a lot of people, a lot of schools out there who are actually committed to this area. Okay, you've done this training, what have you done with it?
Yeah, as a new arrival, when I go and visit the family, it's the first initial visit mine is assist their needs. We work with the parent as well as the children, whereas we signpost parents to the classes, integrate with the community, inclusion, because they won't be isolated and home when they are more out and about, and the children's parents are happy, the children are happy.
But we've had our numbers having this lately. Since September we've had over 150 school-aged children. It usually works out about 10 new arrivals a week, so that's quite a task to get everybody into school with a uniform, hopefully with a book bag and feeling happy. So we're very busy, it's very challenging, but we absolutely love it. And the Tahms project over the last 2 years has helped us really in two ways, because it's helped us provide a little bit more staff with specialist languages, but it's also given us training. So we've been on some wonderful courses about children with attachment issues, or how to speak more positively to children, and it's just given us more things in our toolkit. We've been, I know the staff felt that the self-harm training was very useful. So it's been a really good partnership, because I hope that a lot of the staff, the lead practitioners in school, have learnt from our team about other cultures, communities and language issues. But we've also learnt from the schools, haven't we? And we've learnt, and the training provided by Tahms has been wonderful for us. I think what we find is that we now don't think, oh, is it just a language issue? We look at it and we think, has something happened in the classroom? Why is that child upset? Maybe they've seen something in a book that's reminded them of a past experience that has haunted them, because some of our children have been through extreme trauma and violence, and without the communication there, we're not going to find that out. And sometimes we've found that the children can have been here for 2 or 3 years, and then they're ready to talk about it. When they come here, they're not being lazy, they're not allowed to work until the asylum seeking claim's been resolved. And also, again, if that country then becomes safe to return, some of our families do indeed want to return. So it's nice to go into schools and dispel those myths about the fact that families are here just for the benefits, because it simply isn't true.
What we also found was from last year that the schools that did the most training, it showed.
I got to when I was kind of, I suppose, in my 20s or whatever, and I think, I always thought, do you know what, when kids get to secondary, what they needed to do was to have a whole term where they don't really go on the timetable, and they do blah, 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 and they learn about each other, and all of the main focus is about learning, and we're doing that now. You know what I mean? It's an evolution, and I think it takes time for politicians, unfortunately, who are quite out of touch with the grassroots, to catch up. And I think all we have to do is keep communicating those messages and not getting overrun and overburdened by the system's kind of way it is. It's not going to alter massively in our time. We'll see those small changes. And I think the family themselves recognise that that's a person that could be. I think for those children where they've got those quite deep-seated and embedded mistrust issues, that isn't quite as forthcoming, and you would see the behaviours. You would see that there was an evidence for a need for some involvement. But I think it goes back to that case that we discussed earlier on, that in actual fact sometimes if families are choosing, and particularly the child at the age where they can say, I'm walking and I'm not coming to this support, you can't get them to come, even though there are clear issues. Everybody who is involved can recognise that the child's education is being impaired, that the children in the class's work is being impaired by the child's behaviour, and there's a significant need to get involved. You can't make children. You can't.
So maybe when you go back when you're young and stuff like that, and you're thinking, and something's not right, like with the bullying, but you're not realising what other things are happening at home as well, not just so much bullying, but you're realising then, but nobody's telling you that, are they? It could be other experiences, you know what I mean? It could be like the pressure of exams at school, or, like I said, the family problems at home. Well, they pulled me aside at school. I remember one of the teachers saying to me, when he pulled me aside at school, he said, "Are you getting bullied?" And I didn't want to say. When he pulled me aside, I said no. So when I said no, and I think of it, there was other problems as well, but saying that, I just said no. So that was my way of coping, wasn't it? Just to say no, wasn't it? In my own little head that nothing's happening when it was. But I think for children nowadays, I don't know how hard it is, but obviously I don't want my life back again. I don't want to live my life back again. I don't want to go back and say, well, this could happen. It's all happened. That's how life progresses. That's what turns you into the personality you are now. I'm not someone who, who goes and does bullying, for instance, or obviously psychologically just think of like some of the things that have happened. How it tortures me, like what people have said today. When people think, well, whatever you said today, it doesn't really matter. Or whatever you said, just let it go over your head. So I don't know whether that's a contribution to being ill, or a contribution of what's happened to my child, or a bad thought process. Are you with me? That is your identity, isn't it? That's who you are, isn't it? But like a loving relationship, and that's what I want to say to you. Where's all the love? Where's it coming from? And obviously what's happening. I think you're learning about people and trust and love